The video begins with the forward movement of a huge convoy of Russian armored vehicles. They planned that this time the attack would be successful. But thanks to intelligence, Ukraine was prepared for it. Drone operators were immediately tasked with stopping it.
Ти повертаєш, Васабі, повертаєш направо, плюс.
And FPV drones were flown there. The FPV drone was the first to attack. One of the infantry fighting vehicles was successfully stopped. A tank was also affected by the drone attack. Since the damaged tank can no longer move quickly, it becomes easy for the next attack. Then the Ukrainian soldiers prepared another FPV drone for the next attack. When the enemy's position is detected, the drone is immediately flown. The drone targeted a T-80 BVM tank equipped with electronic warfare equipment. Seeing the open hatch, the operator immediately directed the drone there. From the massive explosion, we could see that the electronic warfare equipment had been released and was floating several meters in the air. Due to the ammunition it was carrying, the tank triggered a second explosion, which made the area around it resemble soap bubbles. The battlefield instantly turned into a smoky area, causing the Russian troops to lose their formation and immediately scatter in various directions. In such chaos, it is easy to lose your guard. And the more panicked the enemy is, the easier it is to defeat him. That is why the losses suffered by Russia continue to increase. While trying to advance further, the Russian tank lost control and hit a mine. Russia typically takes back damaged tanks like this for repair and reuse. Ukraine must destroy them immediately. Ukraine immediately destroyed the tank with grenades dropped by drones at close range. While the tanks burned, Ukraine continued to face Russian attacks. And here is the next attempt to attack Ukrainian territory. A reconnaissance drone spotted 2 APCs and dozens of Russian infantrymen. They were ready to attack. The soldiers were divided into 3 groups and spread out in different directions. Ukrainian artillery opens fire. The shot missed. The infantry ran for cover, and the APCs tried to leave the area. Artillery continued to fire. This time, straight to the enemy position. Some of the infantry were successfully picked up by the APC. The coordinates were passed on to the artillery, and the shots were fired. Even though it missed, it triggered panic among the infantry. This Russian operation failed to gain a foothold there. A Russian APC tries to escape the battlefield, but while taking an alternative route, it comes face with a Ukrainian drone. And when the APC stops, the drone has a greater chance of finishing it off. The drone entered through an open hatch and caused a massive explosion. And not long after, the ammunition he was carrying also exploded. Explosion after explosion continued to occur. And the tank that separated from the group thought it had secured an advantageous position to launch an attack. But they forgot that Ukraine was always watching wherever its enemies moved. The FPV drone attack was successful, enabling the tank to be destroyed with a single strike. We can also see that the explosion immediately triggered another deadly explosion from the ammunition it was carrying, which destroyed the tank's turret in a matter of seconds. Ukrainian fields have turned into burning metal graveyards of Russian vehicles. But despite suffering significant losses, Russia continued to advance again and again, trying to capture as much new territory as possible. Ukrainian tanks have been seen engaging Russian forces in the Donetsk region in widely viewed drone footage on social media. The epic fragment of the battle was caught on video. 2 of our tanks break into an occupied village in the Kurakhove district, and with direct fire, destroy several houses with a concentration of enemy military personnel, wrote the account Escalation Fella in a 3-minute video. This is one of several pro-Ukrainian social media accounts sharing the clip, in which users recorded 2 Ukrainian tanks entering a Russian-occupied village and firing on and destroying houses where Russian troops were gathered. Having worked on the targets, the first tank releases a smokescreen and begins to move away, wrote the account Escalation Fella. A Russian FPV drone appeared on the horizon and attempted to attack the second tank, masking the tank in front. The FPV drone attempted a long-range attack and waited. The tank fires a shot, makes a deceptive maneuver, produces smoke, on which the drone operators are led and begin to look for the tank where it is no longer there, the post added. The Ukrainian tank took cover and then left, while the drone, which lost control, flew into the sky and then crashed to the ground. Russian forces continued their offensive toward Kurakhove, where the power plant is located. Pro-Russian military bloggers said Moscow's forces were attempting to encircle Ukrainian forces north of the town and close off a defensive pocket in the area. Although one Russian source said Moscow had captured the northeastern area of the town, the ISW said on Monday that there was no evidence to support this claim. The Washington, D.C. think tank added that Russian forces were continuing their offensive north and east of Kurakhove. The town is located about 64 kilometers south of Pokrovsk, which Russian forces stormed on Monday as they continued their attempt to capture the logistics hub. Russian forces are launching up to 5 raids per day in the area, including those led by infantry and mechanized troops, replacing casualties with fresh troops. According to a Ukrainian drone platoon commander, quoted by ISW. However, another Ukrainian commander said that, in its operations, Russia suffered heavy casualties and did not evacuate the dead from the battlefield. According to data posted on the official website of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, Russian forces lost 17 tanks and 153 combat vehicles in 24 hours. This latest figure, if accurate, would bring Russia's total losses since the 2022 invasion began, according to Ukrainian reports, to 11,199 tanks and 23,282 combat vehicles. Total artillery losses would reach 33,052. Drone losses would reach 62,486, and special equipment losses would reach 3,969. This latest update comes after the Biden administration authorized Ukraine to use American long-range missiles, including the ATACMS missile system, against targets inside Russia, a move that has sparked debate both at home and abroad. While some European leaders, such as the EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs, welcomed the decision, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov warned that by allowing Ukraine to fire American missiles into Russian territory, the U.S. was escalating the war. The situation on the front lines and the priorities of Ukrainian forces have changed drastically. Plans to liberate vast territories have been replaced by a strategic defensive posture. In the fall, according to the Supreme Commander of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, Oleksandr Syrsky, Ukrainian forces successfully repelled the most ferocious Russian offensive since the war began. Over the past few weeks, Russian forces have made significant progress on the eastern flank, advancing towards the village of Maximilianivka. To the south, the offensive intensified after Russian forces captured Vuhledar, while to the northeast, Russians captured Kurakhove and Hirnik. Amid these challenges, the sector defended by the 33rd Brigade was the only area where Russian progress was either non-existent or much slower than in neighboring sectors. The brigade's relative success was not due to a lack of enemy pressure. Russian forces attempted a massive armored attack, aiming to break through to the eastern and southeastern outskirts of Kurakhove. Video footage released later showed Leopard 2 tanks in action, halting the Russian advance. Voitenkov explained that Russian forces often had to take significant risks, placing their vehicles in more vulnerable positions. This has led to increasingly frequent tank-to-tank engagements between Ukrainian Leopard 2 seconds and Russian tanks. In late October, the 33rd Brigade released footage showing Leopard 2 tanks firing at several Russian vehicles, hitting their sides and front armor as they attempted to attack. Meanwhile, Ukraine announced yesterday that it had successfully targeted a Russian command post in the town of Gubkin, located in the Belgorod region, about 168 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. This also comes after the President of the United States authorized long-range targeting inside Russia, with ATACMS missiles capable of reaching positions up to 300 kilometers away. Independent Russian media shared videos on Telegram showing plumes of gray smoke billowing into the sky after the attack. Ukraine used long-range ATACMS missiles against targets inside Russia for the first time on Tuesday, according to sources within the country's defense forces. The missiles struck an ammunition storage facility near the town of Kurakhove in the Bryansk Oblast, western Russia, more than 70 miles from the Ukrainian border.